Hello and welcome to Fronius. I'm Sheldon Breer. I'm the National Sales Director for Perfect Welding at Fronius UK. I will be joined by my colleague Paul Conquest, who's one of our application engineers. And today we're going to talk to you about our new machine, the TransSteel Pulse. Now, the TransSteel Pulse is available in 3 amperage ranges. We have the 300 amp compact, the 400 amp with a separate wire feeder, and also the 500 amp, also with a separate wire feeder. And all 3 are available as air-cooled or water-cooled systems. Okay, so let's talk about the main benefits this new edition brings. 167 characteristics, which gives us countless applications. It's very easy to set up, and it means faster welding and far less rework, which provides more efficient production. So let's take a closer look at the series. Before we had the 3500 Synergic and also the 5000 Synergic. These models are still available. And now we have the TransSteel 4000 Pulse and the TransSteel 5000 Pulse. Both of these are available with separate wire feed units. Both are available as air-cooled and also water-cooled systems. In the TransSteel range, we still have the TransSteel compacts. And in that range of compact systems, we still have the 2200C, the 2700C, and the 3500C. But now, in addition to this, to complete the range, we now have the new TransSteel 3000C Pulse. Now, all the TransSteel compacts are multi-process machines. This means they have the capability for MIG welding, or TIG welding, and also for manual metal arc. Let's go over to Paul, and here we can see just how easy it is to change from one welding process to another. So let's go through the advantages of the Pulse varieties of the TransSteel range. So looking at the TransSteel 4000, 5000, 3000C Pulse, what are the differences? Well, both have perfect steel welding. What do we mean by that? Well, we mean steel transfer technology, pulse synergic mode, the new user interface, SYNCHRO Pulse, and also the PCS, which is a pulse controlled spray arc. Now, as we've mentioned before, the difference is the compact system has multi-process functionality. The 3000 compact has an integral wire feed unit, which saves space. It's a nice, neat, compact unit. With regards to the TransSteel 4000 and 5000, these have external wire feed units with the option of an operating panel. Also, the 4000 and 5000 Pulse have different interconnecting hose pack lengths, the maximum being 8 meters. So let me explain a little bit about the control panel. The control panel is intuitive, very easy to operate. In fact, let's go over to Paul and let Paul show us how easy it is to operate and to set up this machine.
Hello, my name's Paul Conquest. I'm a Fronius application engineer, and today I'm going to talk you through our new TransSteel Pulse range. The first thing I'm going to show you is how easy it is to set up. We call this 3 steps to setting the machine. So when we set the machine, the first thing we do is we pick our filler wire. So here is the selection of standard materials we have on the set, and we use this simple button here to scroll through to the selection we want. So I'm setting this for steel. I then select the wire diameter. So again, we use this button here, scroll through. So I want to select 1 mil, and then we pick the gas type. So again, here we have the gas button, we scroll through and we select the gas, so I'm selecting 13 to 25% CO2. Once that's set, we then can come here and we can pick if we want to weld in pulse synergic or standard synergic. So here I'll select pulse synergic and it tells me pulse there, and then we're ready to go. I can set my welding parameters here.
So Paul will now show us how to use the Easy Jobs function. Now, this is a real benefit for when we do a particular job, we like the parameters for a particular job, and we want to save those parameters for whenever we get that same application again. Well, the Easy Jobs allows us to do this. We can save up to 5 jobs. So let's go over to Paul and let Paul show us just how easy it is to save those parameters in the Easy Jobs function.
So we can store 5 flexible jobs on the front of the TransSteel panel here. Once we have a parameter we like, we can hold any of these and store it in that position. So if I hold in number 1, program, that parameter now is stored to number 1. I can still change it every time I press 1 or jump back to the original setting.
One of the things we were asked about the TransSteel range of machines was to have the option to lock parameters into the system. Now we have that functionality on the TransSteel Pulse. Sometimes when we have many operators and many different welders on different shifts, companies have a requirement that the parameters of a machine are locked, so different operators cannot change any of the parameters. So now we have the opportunity to lock the control panel with a key, so therefore preventing any change to any parameters by welders or different operators. So the TransSteel Pulse, by its very name, we have pulse characteristics. So what is pulse? Why would we use pulse? Well, the pulse characteristic is when we have the high current and we have a low current, and we alternate between the two. And this arc characteristic enables us to weld thinner materials, also enables us to reduce the heat input. So this gives us a flexibility to weld many different kinds of material. We've got the options for steel, stainless steel, to weld with flux cored wires or metal cored wires, to weld with copper silicon, aluminium Mag 5, aluminium silicon 5. So many different options. And we also have the PCS characteristic, which enables us to weld with 0.8, 1 millimeter, 1.2, and 1.6 millimeter wires. So in total, we have 57 new characteristics for the pulse welding. So PCS, pulse controlled spray arc. Well, what PCS does, it focuses the arc. So the arc pressure is specifically applied to the component. So if we want to guarantee better penetration and diffusion that we require on a particular component or a particular joint configuration, then the PCS spray arc is what we would use. In fact, let's see how Paul demonstrates this. SYNCHRO Pulse. SYNCHRO Pulse is recommended for when we want to weld joints that need to have that nice scaled appearance. For example, when we see that nice cosmetic rippled appearance on aluminium. Now here's Paul. He's going to show us how to weld with SYNCHRO Pulse on stainless steel and then with aluminium.
So to select SYNCHRO Pulse, our double pulse function, we have to go into the background menu. To do this, we use these two buttons here. We press one or we press the other. This gets us into our first background menu. If we scroll through here, we'll see our SYNCHRO Pulse function. So F is the frequency. So here I select my frequency. DFD is my delta wire feed speed. Again, we select it here. And then we have our second arc length correction. Once this is set, we're ready to go with double pulse. So if I wanted to change from a steel program to aluminium, it's very simple. Again, I go back to my filler metal selector, select aluminium, select the size, 1.2, and gas, 100% argon, and then set again my welding parameters here.
But of course, the use of SYNCHRO Pulse is not just limited to welding aluminium. Let's see how Paul welds vertical up using SYNCHRO Pulse on mild steel. When we have a situation when we're welding really thin sheets, or maybe we need to tack really thin metal sheets together, the spot and stitch welding functionality on the TransSteel Pulse is absolutely ideal. So whether we're tacking pieces of steel together, or maybe there's a mismatch, or there's a gap that needs to be bridged, the spot and stitch welding is perfect for this application. In fact, let's look at Paul, and he's going to show us a couple of uses for this. He's going to see how we can tack, then he's going to follow this by showing how we can spot and stitch weld and bridge across a gap.
We also have a function on the TransSteel for a tacking setting or a spot mode. Again, to set this in the front panel, we set it to spot. We then go into the background menu. We find our spot time and we set the value we want. And now when we hit the trigger, it will weld for exactly that time, giving us perfectly uniform tacks. So to take the spot function to the next level, if we sometimes have a large gap to fill, a good function is to set the spot time, but then also to set a break time. To do this, we go back into our background menu, we have our spot time, and then we have our SP, which is our break time. Again, we set this in time. Now when we weld, it will weld for the set time, and then it will pause for the set time, and then it will weld again with the set time, and it will keep doing this over and over until you release the trigger.
With the TransSteel range, we've never had the capability for welding data documentation. It has been requested by our customers, and now we've responded to those requests. So now on the TransSteel range, not just the Pulse, but all TransSteel, we will have the option of welding data documentation. And this will be available from Q4 of 2020. It's a simple thing of using a USB stick, connecting it to the back of the device, and then we can export the data from the welding machine to the USB stick and use this data. And this data is important. If you look here, we've got easy documentation where we can look at the voltage, we can look at the amperages, we can look at the whole setup of the weld, and it gives us all the parameters that we will need in order to have full traceability. So good to know that with the TransSteel Pulse and also all the TransSteel range, there is a 3 years full warranty. With the machine, you also get a calibration certificate, and also the manual is available online, so you can understand the machine to its full capability. But for the 3-year warranty, you must register. This is done by the end user. What we need is the serial number, some details about you, the customer, and that's it. The product will be registered and you will have a full 3-year warranty. We've also made available for the TransSteel Pulse the TPSI manual welding torches. So these are also available for our TransSteel Pulse machines. The Fronius system connector for the torch is used on the TransSteel Pulse range of machines. We really strongly advise the FSC because it's this that gives us the optimum communication from the machine to the torch. And still on the theme of welding torches, you can see there's a wide range of torches available depending on which configuration of TransSteel Pulse that you need. And with the torches, we have a number of options and accessories that are available. Every welder is different, so we like to think we can accommodate the needs and the requirements for particular applications and welder preference. Well, thank you for attending. Please don't hesitate to get in touch if you require a demonstration. At the end of the day, seeing is believing. You need to see this machine to really appreciate its capabilities. You can contact your nearest distributor or contact Fronius direct. It's entirely up to you. We'll be happy to arrange a demonstration. The one thing you can be sure of is I think you will be pleasantly surprised of how affordable this machine is.
Thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar. I'd like to invite back both Sheldon and Paul to answer any questions that you may have. You can type those questions into the question box and we'll get through those with the guys. I can see that we have a few on here already. So I will start on those then. So the first question we have is, where do I buy this machine? Sheldon, I think this is for yourself.
Yeah, you can buy this machine from, we have a network of distribution throughout the UK. So depending where you're located, we can point you into the direction of the local distributor. There's nothing to stop a customer contacting us direct if they want any technical information or any other information related to the system. But we can direct you also to whoever the nearest distributor is to where you're located.
Brilliant, thank you, Sheldon. Another one for you. What's the price of the machine?
Well, the prices vary because it depends on what configuration the customer wants. It's anything from the 3000 compact, which is the most price competitive. You're looking around about maybe £3,000. But then if you want one with a separate wire feeder with 8-meter interconnecting hose packs, different functionalities, then it can be anything up to 8,000, you know. So it really depends on the configuration that the customer requires.
Perfect, thank you, Sheldon. And can you use the TransSteel for TIG welding aluminium? Paul, guess this one's for you.
Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, so with the TransSteel, we do have a TIG function on the machine, but it is DC only. So it's not suitable for AC or aluminium welding. So it's DC, it's a lift arc, so no HF, but there is pulse available on there. So it will pulse between 999 hertz. And also there's the tack function as well. So we have a tacking setting for the TIG, but it is a lift arc, no HF, and it's DC only.
Lovely, thanks, Paul. And I think I've got another one here for you. Can you use the push-pull torch on the new TransSteels?
So no, for the TransSteel, it's a push only, so there's no push-pull torch available for the TransSteel. So in that case as well, if you're thinking of using the machine for aluminium, what we recommend is a 3.5 meter torch for the push system.
Brilliant, thanks, Paul. Just check the question box. Okay, no, I think that's all the questions that we've got to submit this morning. So again, everyone, thank you for attending. We'll be sending out a recording of the webinar to you afterwards with links to where you can find the brochures, the product specs, that sort of information via our website. Please do take the time to fill in the short feedback questionnaire that will pop up at the end. It will just help us deliver better quality webinars in the future. So again, thank you everyone for attending, and we'll catch up with you guys again soon.